Cooper Flagg has officially arrived. Last night, the rookie became the youngest player to ever score 35 points, and he did so in a dominant performance for the Dallas Mavericks. However, they have a lot of decisions to make. There is a lot of talent on this team, but it's built around Luka Doncic, who was, of course, abruptly traded for. It's not built around Anthony Davis or Cooper Flagg. So they need to make some personnel changes, and that's what we're going to look at in today's video alongside of Cooper Flagg. And taking a look at this Flagg performance from last night, I mean, it was without a doubt the best performance of his career. I mean, a 35 piece at 18 years old. Remember, he's not even 19 yet. Showing off that mid-range and then just getting a mismatch here against Chris Paul and going to work. I don't know what the Clippers were thinking right here, putting a 6-foot guard who's 40 on a 6'8" wing that's 19, but it didn't quite work out. 35 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 turnovers in 38 minutes for Flagg last night on 13 of 22 shooting. So it was a really efficient performance, something he's kind of been lacking so far in his NBA career. And again, at 6'8", with a 7-foot wingspan, how in the world do the Clippers expect Chris Paul to guard that? I understand it's a mismatch and all, but man. And then the driving, it was very good last night. Getting past Harden here on a little ghost screen from Christie, which is something I like. It gets done and Harden miscommunicating, and then Flagg just gets right downhill and finishes with that left hand. And then here in transition, a sick crossover leaves Harden in the dust. Notorious elite defender James Harden gets downhill, changes hands midair, and finishes over John Collins. Pretty good finish there with the left. He's averaging 16.5 points, 6.5 boards, 3.5 assists, shooting 46% from the field. Don't look at that three-point percentage. We're about to talk about it, though. Coming off the pick and roll here, we saw the dunk from earlier on Zubac's. On his head, really. I mean, that's just the definition of attacking a guy that is playing drop coverage. So far, the 3-ball, only 25% on 3.8 attempts a game, which is weird because last year at Duke, he was 38% on 4.1 attempts per game. Once again, attacking the drop coverage at Zubac's there, but the 3-ball is a bit concerning. In the non-conference last year, for Duke, he shot 24% from 3. In conference play, once the season really got underway, he shot 45% from 3 on 3.8 attempts. So maybe it's just a matter of finding his footing in the NBA as it was in college where he was having to find his footing. And also now, not having to play point guard anymore. That's a pretty good take over Kawhi Leonard, an all-world defender. But again, like I said, not having to play point guard, getting the ball passed to him instead of having to create for himself should open up that 3-ball. Over his first 10 games, those were his numbers while shooting 40% from the field and 27% from 3. Not good at all. But over the last 10 games, he's averaging 19.5, 6.5, and 4 assists with less turnovers than before on 51% shooting from the field. Now, the 3-ball is still a little bit questionable, but like I said, we're hoping that develops and, as he gets his feet wet in the league. Now the trades. The 32-year-old Anthony Davis could be on the way out the door sooner rather than later. Nico Harrison, loved this dude, traded for him, traded Luka for him. These are his numbers so far through 6 games in this regular season, shooting 53% from the field, 25% from 3, and like I said, it's in 6 games played because, well, that's the big issue with Anthony Davis. He seems to not like to play basketball. This is one of the trades I saw and really could help both sides here. Get a couple of future firsts from the Pistons as well as Ron Holland, a guy you can develop and mold into a wing of the future alongside of Cooper Flagg in exchange for Anthony Davis, or sending him to maybe like Chicago, sending him back home for Kobe White and then a few first-round picks. I'd probably like that trade better if I am the Mavericks. But again, not a lot of teams make sense for them to trade for a guy like Anthony Davis, who is an aging superstar that seems to always be hurt. And then speaking of injured, aging superstars, you also have Kyrie Irving on your hands, who, on the contrary to AD, I think you can play Kyrie with Cooper Flagg, obviously, because they don't play the same position. Now, he is still out, and he's in the midst of a 3-year, $120 million contract, essentially, where he's making about $40 million per year. So if you get off of AD, you keep Kyrie around. I mean, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world, especially for a guy like Coop, averaging 25.5 a game with 4.8 rebounds, 4.6 assists, 1.3 steals in 36 minutes, shooting 47% from the field, 40% from 3 on 7 attempts, and for the 33-year-old, I think, like I said, he'd have a great impact on Coop, whoever they kind of decide they want their next point guard to be, and we'll talk about that in a second because there are a couple of options here, or if they wanted to tank, you can still keep Kyrie around because he's out for the whole year. Now, if you made it this far in the video, hit the like button and hit that subscribe button. 93% of the people who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. If that's you, let's go ahead and fix that. And then let's take a look at the youth here for the Dallas Mavericks. And Max Christie is the forgotten piece to that Luka trade, but he's a guy that looks like he can hang out here in Dallas for the next 10 years and be something. Averaging 12.5 points a game, 3.4 rebounds, 2 assists, a stock per game, shooting 47% from the field, 45% from 3 on 6 attempts. You don't see that often out of young guards. And then he also looks like he can be a guy that is a good 3-and-D wing alongside of Coop, alongside of Kyrie, whoever else they decide to bring in here to Dallas. But shooting the crap out of it right now, and then also playing good defense. Can never have too many of those guys. Then you have Derek Lively, who is currently injured, but I mean, he's still 21 years old. People forget how young this dude was. He reclassed up to play ahead of schedule in college, much like Cooper Flagg did, so he's still a lot younger than most people think, and I think he's still growing, as a matter of fact. Then you also have Brandon Williams. Now, he is an older guy. He kind of just burst onto the scene this year for the Mavs, but he's been in the league for about 4 years. He's averaging 11 points a game, 4 rebounds, 2.6 assists, 1.6 steals in 26 minutes. The efficiency is not good, so you'll have to look past that. But other than that, he's a exciting young player, plays with a lot of flair in his game, getting downhill right here, nice spin, and then zips into the corner to Max Christie for the 3-ball. And really, I see a lot of like Kyrie when I watch him play. You can see right here, coming off the screen, getting downhill, knocking down the fadeaway jumper, and then here, off the pass from D'Lo, coming off the screen again, and just pulling up in the mid-range, and he's pretty much taken over for D'Angelo Russell at the point guard spot, who has started to see some DMP coaches' decisions. And right here, I mean, just getting through the lane, the handle, the craftiness to finish this over Jay Huff, really Kyrie-esque, if you ask me. And then you have Ryan Nembhard here, another Nembhard. Yeah, I know what you're thinking, but he's another one that he can hoop, and that's the bottom line there. Much like Chris Paul, if you ask me, with his ability to navigate the pick and roll and just be a floor general. I mean, he led the NCAA in assists like the last 2 years at Gonzaga and had his breakout game in his first start against the Lakers with 17 points, 4 assists, and 2 rebounds, 7 of 11 shooting from the field, 3 of 5 from beyond the arc, including this at the end of the shot clock. Ridiculous shot, but he gets it to go. They did lose that game, but he was a bright spot. Now, the other trades that I think should be made, like I said, this roster was built around Luka, so it doesn't really fit around Flagg, who doesn't have the unlimited playmaking abilities that Luka Doncic does. PJ Washington could be a guy considered, but I wouldn't do it, considering that he's on a good contract and he's still relatively young. Najee Marshall, I could go either way, yes or no. It wouldn't really matter to me. He's a great guy to have around, but at the same time, if you can get some value from him, go ahead and go get some value from him. Klay Thompson's a guy I'd probably say is on the way out. Bigger contract and a guy that probably could benefit some contenders just catching and shooting, so maybe he could be on the way out. And then Daniel Gafford is a guy that, once again, like either way, if he sticks around, great, or if you can go get some draft capital for him, go ahead and do it. With that being said, that's going to be it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like button, leave me a comment down below, and hit that subscribe button if you did enjoy at any point. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching today's video.